idea that I have used with my 5th graders, but could also apply to a wide variety of grade levels and then also content areas. I thought about a resource that I had found online several years ago. The website is at the very top of your handout. It stands for teachingthatmakesense.org, and it has probably about 15 different PDF files. Some of them are over 100 pages that are a great resource not only for English teachers but also for teachers of any content area. They're written in a very conversational tone, so they're interesting to read. There are parts that are humorous. He has student writing samples in there. And so what I did is I went through all of the resources available on the website and compiled the ones that I thought might be most useful to all of us here today. So the very first page is a compilation of all of the writing strategies, and in one of the booklets on the PDF files, there is an explanation of each of these. So there's 8 on the front, and then on the back, there's an additional 8. And so what I thought we could do is try a few of them at the beginning, and then I will just discuss with you how you might be able to use the rest of the resources in the packet. If you'll first turn, I have handwritten page numbers on the bottom, but to page 3, it says a glossary of prompts. And usually when I do writing projects with my students, we do more genre studies than writing to a prompt, but for the sake of time today, I have marked 3 different prompts on this page that are all for the narrative type of writing. And I'm going to ask you to pick one of them, and we're going to use it to try a couple of the graphic organizers from the front page. So on page 3, I've marked the second one of memorable moments, and it's basically asking you about a moment that you will always remember and explaining why it is memorable in your life. The second one is prompt 23, taken by surprise. So thinking about a time in your life when you were really surprised about something that had happened and kind of telling the story of what you did and how you felt at that time. And then on the back is prompt 35, a great vacation. So thinking of a time when you have gone on a vacation, and it even mentions, if you use this with students, that sometimes you just stay at home and have fun right where you are, and explaining why it made so much fun. So if you would choose one of those 3 prompts, and I'm going to have you spend a couple minutes free writing about it, and then we'll see the difference between your free writing and then our use of the graphic organizers. So if you would choose one of those 3 that I marked, and then spend 3 to 5 minutes free writing. Talking about how we can continue to develop the ideas that you have. If you look back on the front page of your packet, at strategy number 6, it says draw, label, caption on it. This is the next strategy that I'm going to ask you to try. A lot of times students can think of an idea okay, but then once they write it, they've hardly written anything, and it's really hard to push them to include more ideas and expand them. And so draw, label, caption. For it, you basically think of a scene from what you're writing about. So if it's especially for a narrative text, that can work very well. And you're doing a rough sketch, not a full illustration. And the example there, they drew a person, a dog, and the setting, and then you label everything in your picture. And so you can see that in the example, they also labeled the weather, the dog wagging the tail to show excitement. So it's not just labeling like the objects, but you can also think of other types of details. And then you write a caption for the picture. And this works really well for reluctant writers, people who are more visual, and that can also help them create visual images when they're actually drafting their piece. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do a brief sketch of one kind of scene that you were thinking about from your choice of topics from before, to label the picture, everything in the picture, and then write the caption about it. next step would be continuing to do pre-writing to plan the rest of the piece. And if you look back on that first page, strategy 5, transition, action, details, it is basically a 3-column chart that allows students to plan the different events in their narrative. And so the first column is labeled as transition, the second as action, and the last is details. And the directions are at the bottom, but they recommend that students first start in the middle column with the actions, and that they fill in their very first action on the top, and then they think about their ending and write the ending action, and then they go back and fill in the middle. And it can have as many rows or as few rows as needed. Older students will probably need more rows than younger students. And then after they have just their actions written out, they then suggest adding 2 to 3 details for each of those actions. So if you look at the example, the first action on strategy 5 for transition action detail says, my dog and I went to Andrews Park to play Frisbee. And the details that they've added, the wind was really blowing, there was hardly anyone at the park. So that's where you're trying to push them to include more of the 5 senses, and hopefully their drawing could help them add in some of those details, make them think about it more clearly. And once they have added all of the details, then they do the first column of the transitions. So thinking about time order words, or it could be as simple as next or then, and they don't have to have a transition for every single row. And so I'd like you to try this next. This takes a little bit more time of kind of planning the piece, but try to list the actions first, and then the details, and then add in a couple